Well, thanks for all being here. Appreciate all the interest in what we're doing. You win one game and everyone's, I'm glad you've come back. It's, holy cow.
What did you take away from the first meeting with this group, and what translates here as you prepare for a rematch?
Certainly we saw that Johns Hopkins is really well coached. Two great coordinators at the offensive and defensive end, and a team that you could tell veteran leadership, a lot of men who've played a lot of games for the Blue Jays. And so we saw a team that not only can beat you 6v6, but they'll play in transition too. The general story is, oh, UVA wants to up the tempo, and Hopkins wants to play 6v6. That's not quite true. They're good in a lot of different ways. And so we faced a team that got us, scored a lot of goals, and played really well in the goal. So we know we have our hands full.
And you talked about going into the last game wanting to be better with the ground balls. You even said you might ramp up the physical nature of practice, even though that's not always the thing this time of year. Were you happy with what you got there?
I was. That game was St. Joe's, NCAA tournament game, but man, it felt like an old Native American versus Native American sort of battle, a brawl, where it was so physical, not only with the body blows, but with the sticks and the extra hitting and some chirping going on out there. And so, it was a game our men loved playing. The more aggressive, the better for us. That was old school lacrosse. That was a big attaway. And give St. Joe's credit, they brought it to us too. We had a lot of ice after that game. I'm glad we have 8 days to get ready for this Hopkins opponent.
And when it comes to ground balls, Ben Ware's been your leader in that category. How good has he been? How valuable has he been? And do you think he gets the respect for what he's doing here that he deserves? Yeah,
it was great. One of the services did give him honorable mention All-American. It's amazing how many All-American awards are being handed out, what different services are, and between USA Lacrosse and Inside Lacrosse and USILA, the college coaches, that'll be coming out soon too. But so it was really cool he was nominated. Ben's had 8 ground balls in several different games this year, and his impact with the cause turnovers and making plays. What I really like what Ben's doing too now is he's being smarter in transition. Ben is a playmaker. Playmakers are out there to make the big time play, as opposed to making a smart play and just giving it to Connor Schellenberger and dumping the ball and getting out. He's starting to make more of those smarter plays too.
What can you learn from the last time you played Hopkins? Remember, they took advantage of you in that fourth quarter. They dominated that fourth quarter, that you can take into the rematch here coming up.
Yeah, we both learn. As we did with Notre Dame, we got to play them a second time. Unfortunately, their coaching staff outdid our coaching staff the second time, and they took advantage of some things they saw. We're hopeful that we're going to see, the way these guys play offense. They move the ball really well, and they picked us apart in the crease. We've got to defend the crease much better, and that'll be a challenge against a team that feeds the ball as well as anyone. I think they're the best feeding team we'll probably see this season, and then breaking down a defense that slides to everything. They slide earlier to the dodger, to the ball, than any other opponent we have, and that's startling. And even though we're practicing it this week, we've still got to be prepared for the speed of it. And so having that one game hopefully helps us there, but we know how well coached they are there, and it's easier said than done.
Is having Anthony back at good health or decent health for this game a huge difference that you can't really look back on film because of back in the regular season meeting he wasn't quite there?
Right, yeah. Anthony didn't play the first time against Hopkins. It'll certainly be helpful to have Anthony for this game, but I don't want to put too much on that because, we did have Gable Braun for really his only game he played this year. He played against Hopkins and did okay, especially in the first half. So I don't see that Anthony Gabriel is going to completely turn the tide of this game, but we're certainly happy that Anthony's healthy and back because, boy, he's been a big part of our face-off game and given us a lot of extra possessions.
Is dealing with Collison at the top of your list?
Yeah.
Because he kind of opened it up in the second half in Charlottesville. Talk about what challenges he presents.
Yeah, I want to put Collison and Peshko. Both of them had felt like 4 or 5 goals, and they were just, because you try to take away Angelus, the quarterback, and then Degnan, the big-time hammer of a shooter, but that midfield is so talented and so dangerous. That's going to be key. who do you put the long stick midi on? Who do we put our best defender on? Who gets the short stick defensive midfielder? And we didn't have answers the first time. And so figuring that out this week is going to be key, because you're right. Dylan Bauer's a great feeding midfielder, and then Collison and Peshko, they're just great goal scorers. So we've got to be a whole lot better on defense. We got to be more physical. We got to be prepared to, for what they can do. And they do things, but they do things really well with it, whether it's set the firm pick or slip the pick, shoot from the outside, hammer the ball inside. They're so multiple in their abilities to break a defense down.
Last week I asked you about, is there more volume for Peyton, and he comes down and puts in 8 goals. Was that just, I don't know, natural for him to just finish that much, or was it you were looking for him specifically against that matchup?
It's really the St. Joe's defense. Coach Cassis did a fantastic job creating a game plan, but we knew the St. Joe's defense would give us X. They would allow Connor Schellenberger to have his hands free. That's the way they play their zone defense. That's the way they play their man-to-man. And so when Connor Schellenberger's got his hands free, he's going to be able to find guys, and he's able to find Peyton quite a bit. But yeah, Peyton, he took it to a new level, didn't he? Mm-hmm. I didn't realize he could break the record. It was zero space in my head about him breaking the record. We're thrilled now, because now we can move forward and not have that hanging over us, right? But yeah, Peyton, who's been shooting around 30% all year, all of a sudden shot 50%, and we were very fortunate that, the handles he made, oh my gosh. He's getting checked, he's getting lifted.
It's like he likes it almost.
He almost does better with contact. Some guys are like that.
Mm-hmm. Last question. We talked about, raising the intensity in May lacrosse. Do you sense any of that in your own self as a coach?
Yes.
I definitely saw when, I think you were up 5 goals, and then Erdman gets trapped on the sideline trying to beat the ride, and then I just saw the animation. Do you sense something in yourself that goes to a different level as well?
Post-game, we do our breakdown. Things get to improve. There were strengths. I put myself first. Coach Tiffany's he's got to be calmer. I elevated higher, and I think it was because of our failure to clear the ball. We struggled against the St. Joe's 10-man ride, and we'd worked a lot on it, and I was really frustrated with that. And now we're playing extra defense against a talented offensive filled with Canadians, and so I started getting a little too stressed. Yeah, the one with Erdman, that one was a little more, because we were yelling, go to the far side, look middle, and he just couldn't hear us, and he got trapped right in front of our bench. But yeah, I definitely was more excited than I should be on a game day. The guys know I'll get up, but I was amped up, and I don't know if that's a function of losing 4 games in a row, if it's a function of but I think it was more so just can we clear the ball? We can score goals, fellas. Come on. And that was the frustrating part, because we had designed up a clear, thought we had it, and we just weren't getting the ball to our offense.
McCabe was in here talking about coming off a win, coming off a loss. You're a confident group, but from your perspective, have you noticed coming off a win, ending the losing streak, have you noticed kind of maybe that proverbial cloud lifting?
Yeah, because we're human. It's so typical. You try to fight it as a coach when you're winning. You want to kind of make sure we're learning still. It's easier to learn from a loss, and when you lose, you hope to build them back up. Why should we let the result influence our belief in self? But it's natural, right? And so, yes, beating a team that won 12 games in a row has helped us. And just like I'm sure it's helped Hopkins, they beat a team that won their conference tournament too in Lehigh. So it certainly is. It's an intoxicating drug called winning. And but that's it. It's just one win, fellas. Again, we put up there. The first one was Coach Tiffany, improved, being calmer on game day, and then we had some other things there, clearing the ball, and some of our on-ball defense has to get better too. So just always trying to learn. We're a learning organization, and just because we got the win and we're feeling good about ourselves, let's stay focused and continually keeping open-minded. How can we be better in the race to improve?
And then just as an advocate for the sport, how awesome is UVA Hopkins in mid-May?
Yeah, it's really cool, isn't it? I know. No Doyle Smith Cup this time around, but yeah, this is really really cool to be a part of it. I know. Johns Hopkins, they'll have their band there, and their famous lacrosse, the song, and it's being up in their neck of the woods. It'll feel like an away game for us, so we're going up there hunting, and it's an exciting opportunity for this rivalry to have another chapter. I'm not sure how often has this game been played in the tournament. Oh, often. Oh, yeah. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's probably not gone well for Virginia overall because of Hopkins' tremendously incredible, deep legacy and tradition and history. And we've got a really great history. And so, yeah, that's really neat.
How would you evaluate McCabe's freshman year here?
McCabe's had a fantastic freshman year. McCabe's adapted to playing and starting on attack, but also running out of the box as a midfielder more so lately, and where he gets to really expose other defenses because McCabe's got fantastic speed. I mean, he bursts out of the midfield, but we want him on the field all the time. And so we're experienced. So for a freshman to be able to play both midfield and attack, and to do both well demonstrates not only his athletic prowess but his mental IQ and understanding of the game. He takes a beating. He keeps coming back. His forearms, both of them are bruised after the St. Joe's game. They were hunting his forearms, but he's got a smile on his face and can't wait to play and can't wait for that next practice. And yeah, he's had an incredible impact here.
Does he have the same maybe needs to calm down a little on game day that Lars does, or
yeah, it's interesting because I love the energy that the team played with, but can we do that? Can we be like Vikings, but not berserker Vikings who then push people from behind that are just obvious penalties? Yeah, McCabe. I thought it was fine. I thought Ben Ware had one. And we had another one. It was like, fellas, I think Griffin Schutz. I was like, fellas, every referee has to make that call. If we can hit someone from the side or the front, let's go for it. And if it's a penalty, it's a penalty. But let's not make it too easy on him. But we want to play with that energy, and McCabe definitely plays with fire.
Maybe expecting Hopkins to be even more keyed in on Peyton than they normally
yeah.
after seeing last week. How important does that make the production from the midfield, and you also saw McCabe coming out of the midfield there a little bit on Saturday? How important will the midfielders be then?
Exactly. Johns Hopkins defense, they slide early, and then they pack it in. They've got an experienced goalie who's been through a lot of his own battles and wars at his previous school, and now with Hopkins. They are going to collapse in on Peyton. They're going to collapse in on the crease, and they're going to dare our midfield to score from the outside, whether it's just a pure step in, room and time shot, or if it's a redodge and then hit something on the run. That'll be key. Can our midfielders score from the outside? Because they're going to collapse on Peyton.
And then obviously championship weekend is the ultimate college lacrosse environment.
Yeah.
But when you get to the quarterfinal round, you can get some pretty great environments
Yeah.
there too. And with the fan bases that are going to be there for this particular doubleheader on Sunday, how much are you looking forward to what you might see in terms of attendance and environment and just the all-around experience?
Yeah, this is where you, as a boy, as a young person, you really dream about being a part of these type of environments. And fortunately for us, it won't be overwhelming because we're drawing 5,000-6,000 people a couple games here this spring, and so similar environment, that we'll see up there at Towson when we play the Blue Jays. So it's really cool to be a part of, isn't it? And and so sometimes I pinch myself, like, wow. 5,000 people at a game is, that's normal now for you, Lars. Wow, it's amazing, and being up in a place in a setting where, lacrosse is very, very important, to being up in that Baltimore area. This is really, really amazing.